Todd Rowland from Alderac Entertainment Group, or
me.
as we like to say, AEG,
AEG.
is joining me, and we haven't really spoken face-to-face in
It's
like
been a
2-3
while.
years.
We've been like ships in the night at all these shows and stuff.
I know.
But that's how it can be at these with all these people here. You may see people
right.
every other show. Some people you may see every show. It just
Right.
depends.
And I'm not avoiding you. I just want
thank
you to know that.
Thank you.
You're avoiding
I was
me,
feeling
but that's
a little bit
okay.
hurt, but please.
So, let's jump in because there is a load of stuff we can talk about
That there is.
from AEG,
Mm-hmm.
and we might as well start off with like what I guess we would consider kind of like your Gen Con release, and
Yes.
isn't that Mythic Vale?
That is Mystic Vale.
Mystic Vale.
Yeah,
sorry.
Mystic Vale is our big release. It actually came out in retail a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
But it is a big release here. It's something that people have been anticipating quite a lot. It is a card crafting game. So rather than deck building where you're building the deck and putting the deck together, you have a constant 20 card deck, but you're constantly changing what the cards do by sliding in new clear cards into the sleeves
Nice.
that layer on
Cool.
one another and create new effects.
Very, very cool.
We're very excited about it. We've got a lot of neat plans for that system of other types of games we can do.
And it's a fantasy setting, I believe. Is that?
It is a
true to
fantasy
it?
setting. The idea is that the Vales are the places of nature where the druids protected, and they had been blighted, and so you're trying to return life to them. So all the things you're sleeving are like spells and familiars and magic seeds and plows and things like that can bring life back to these places. And ultimately, you claim these Vale cards that are worth a lot of victory points, and that's like a enchanted Vale that's come back.
So, if I'm reading this correctly, then you're basically the player is trying to bring life back to the Vale. They're not battling each
No.
other. It's just who does the most good.
Right, exactly. It's which player brings the most life back, basically. Yes, it is. And the game has an interesting push your luck mechanic, which is how you play your cards, because there are no hands. You simply flip cards off your deck, and there are certain symbols called decay. And these decay symbols, if you have 4 of them in your field, you've busted, or spoil, as we like to say, and you lose your turn. So the idea is you may have enough buying power out and 3 decay, and you're 1 point of mana short for the advancement that you want to put on your card.
Sure.
So you can push and try and see if you can
Okay.
flip another card without exposing another decay symbol.
Nice.
So
Sounds very interesting, very different.
It is.
Not the same old, same old.
it is. There have been a couple of games that have used clear cards in the past.
Right, yeah.
But none that were using it with the sleeving and being able to shuffle. That was the main difference, is we can now make a game that you could shuffle, you could have randomization. And what happens, because all the prior clear cards, most of them had worked with cards being flat on the table.
Yes.
That just stayed on the table.
Then let's see, what else has recently come out? Automobiles?
Automobiles
Is that
came out
pretty
earlier
recent?
this year, actually. Automobiles came out last year.
Was it last year?
Yeah, it was
Okay.
last year. Automobiles has been a sort of a surprise hit for us. It is all about racing, but it is a bag building racing game. So you're putting different color cubes into your bag, shaking them up and drawing the cubes out in sets, and the cubes are determining which lanes you can take
Okay.
on the track, as well as different movement and avoiding wear, because as
Sure.
you drive around the track, you accumulate these little black cubes that are wear, and you want to get those out of your bag because they're dead cubes when you draw them, just from the wear and tear that your car takes
Yeah, right.
going around the track.
Nice.
Yeah, it's really neat. It's from David Short, who's designed games for us before, and probably won't be the last. So.
Sweet. Then let's see, Fantahzee.
Fantahzee. Let me show you this
Fantahzee.
guy
There
right
we
here.
go.
So this game is here at Gen Con, but this game is actually releasing in October.
Sure.
So we had a preview.
See, you guys are missing out again if you're not
preview
here.
copies. So Fantahzee is a game where you have hordes of monsters attacking the city. You're trying to defend it, yet you do that through Yahtzee. Because the heroes that you draft into your party to protect the city all have different activation costs that are rolls of the dice.
Okay.
So you roll, you do your re-rolls. Some weaker characters only may take 1 number. Higher characters may take sets of numbers or runs of numbers and things like that. As you fight off the monsters, there's a certain mechanic to the way you clear them. If the monster in the front of the row is not killed on your turn, they trash one of the buildings in the village, and you have negative points going into your victory point pile. So the basic idea is that all the players are working to save the city. You're all wanting to salvage the city and stop the monsters, but you want to be the one who does it with the most style, who has the most victory points at the end, right? Instead of all the others.
Right. That sounds
And
very, very cool.
it will be in stores this October.
And it's got a pretty neat kind of cartoon art style.
Yeah, we used an artist named Jay House. He is he's been really fun to work with. He's worked on Greedy Goblins, which is another game we did. He's worked on Dark Seas, and he has a very unique style, and I was happy to have him do this entire game. So it turned out really, really neat looking. It's fun monsters is the way I would say it. So
Very cool. And once again, it's another game where it's not a lot of head-to-head
aggression.
competition. Right.
Right.
Yes.
The main aggression in
You
the
take
game.
the aggression out on the monster.
You do. The main aggression against each other would come out in the sense of I'm going to make sure that a really horrible monster is waiting for you on your turn instead of on my turn.
Yes.
So that's basically the way the game works.
More laying traps rather than just take that.
Exactly.
What else you got cooking, Todd? You got so much.
We do. We have so
I'm going to let you just tell me, of course,
the show.
Love Letter.
Love Letter Premium Edition. Okay, this is also coming in October. We have several October releases here. Love Letter Premium takes the game from a 2 to 4 player game to a 2 to 8 player game.
Okay.
So you can now play more people, and as such, it's introduced extra characters so that you can add those cards to the deck the more players you have, with new abilities and new things you can do, yet at the core, it's still Love Letter. It's still a quick draw one, play one, easy to play game that just about anybody can pick up. It comes in this nicer box. The cards have been oversized to tarot size. Okay. They're also now made of a light plastic, so if you spill your drink on them, they'll be fine. But even to stop that, they come with some custom sleeves that look like little love letter envelopes that you can put the cards in as well. So we really upped it. We think love letter fans are going to really enjoy it. It's going to let larger groups play with it. And even if you have smaller groups, it's got new abilities and new characters you can play with. So
one thing I have to say about Love Letter, and I have to laugh kind of because it came out, very small footprint game. Mm-hmm. People thought,
yes,
what is it? And then you play it, and everybody's like, man, that was fun. Let's play that again. And then you played it, and then, hey, let's play one more time. This Love Letter's got to be just taking you by surprise by the popularity.
It did. It exploded, and over the years, it's gotten bigger and bigger with all the different versions and different things we put out, and it's been a phenomenon. We were just really amazed and thankful, that we were able to be the publishers of this game and bring it out to everybody, because it has been really neat how we can make little changes and little things that make the game feel very different. Such as, for instance, the Batman version.
Yeah, I was going to mention Batman.
All we did with the Batman version was simply change a scoring rule. We didn't even change the cards, but it made the game feel entirely different than playing, quote, standard Love Letter.
And it's just such a great game to just put in your glove compartment or put in your briefcase and bring it out. And
absolutely.
Friends are getting together and say, hey, I got a game. We
yeah.
can play.
Yep. As we like to say, it's easy enough for the little ones and for Meemaw to play. So if everybody in your family can play it, it's going to get a lot of play.
What else do you want to touch base
Okay,
about?
so one more that I'm going to talk to you about that isn't even here because we just announced it this weekend is that we are doing Thunderstone Third Edition.
You are.
We are
I was just
indeed.
having a discussion with someone last night, and we were wondering what was going on with Thunderstone.
Thunderstone has been in semi-retirement for a couple of years, which is good. It lets our brains focus on some other stuff for a while and stay fresh. But we have come back to Thunderstone. We have been developing on it. We've added some new elements to it. It is still very much Thunderstone. I don't want to worry people. If you love Thunderstone, this is still Thunderstone. But it is adding a few new elements that we feel have taken it to a new level and made it very, very exciting. What we are doing that is even more different is that for the first time, AEG alone is going to be doing a Kickstarter for this. We're going to be kickstarting Thunderstone, and we are aiming for October.
Okay.
So everybody get ready. It's coming soon. However, we are also implementing what we call the Kick It Here program, where local stores who want to take part will now have a chance to capture some of the customers of a Kickstarter in a way that they didn't before. Most retailers, as we know, are not particularly strong fans of Kickstarter for obvious reasons.
That's putting it nicely, yes.
I'm trying to use nice terms here.
Of course.
However,
because we love retailers.
We do. Well, when we plan things, we usually have the retailer in mind. It doesn't mean we always necessarily go the direction that always benefits them, but we are always at least looking at it, okay, well, how is this going to affect the retailer? So what we thought about with this was, in this plan, we took a look and we realized the people who are sitting up at midnight when the Kickstarter goes live at their computer, clicking to donate right then, that money was not going to the store anyway. That wasn't their customer, that wasn't their sale, it never was going to be.
Right.
So what we want to do is give the retailer a chance to reach the customers who don't necessarily support Kickstarter, but do come in their store. So we're providing the retailers with a packet of promotional materials like posters, flyers that they can give out the month before the Kickstarter that do the Kick It Here program, Thunderstone, and it explains to them that players and customers, I should say, can come and give their money to the retailer. Basically as a pre-order, essentially.
Right.
The retailer will collect that money, send AEG part of it, keeping their margin for their profit of selling the game.
Right.
They will also send all the contact information, so everyone who backed it through the retailer will get put on all the mail-out lists, so they'll get the daily emails and the updates about it and all the stuff you expect from a Kickstarter, right?
Sure.
They'll be in the loop just like anybody else. When it releases and we ship out the games to everybody, at the same day we'll also ship out the big box to the store for all 5 people at that store who backed it, or all 7 people who backed it. We'll get it all the same day. But here's the bonus for the stores who take part and to give people a reason. The stores will also receive a launch day kit that will have a few unique items and a few unique things just for the stores that took part in Kick It Here. So let's say the games are going to arrive on a certain day. The store tells everybody, people come in to pick up their Thunderstone, and hey, play it right now. You play it right there at the store, you crack it open, you start playing, you're going to get all that cool stuff.
Nice.
On top of that, the stores who take part in Kick It Here are also, when they get their copies to sell in retail, it's going to be the full Kickstarter edition, just like the people who backed it online back during the thing. The stores who did not take part in the Kick It Here will get a standard retail edition. So that's another benefit. You'll be able to continue to sell the big, awesome box that people who backed it on Kickstarter got as well, with all the cool contents, just like that. And like we say, with any new program, there's going to be hiccups, there's going to be bumps, but we're going to do our best to work it out and work with the retailers to take their feedback on things we can do better, things we can change, and things they thought really worked really well. And we'll continue to refine that program as we go ahead.
Nice.
But, we self-publish most of our stuff. We're still going to self-publish most of our stuff. Sure. But on a few projects that we want to try some bold or experimental stuff like Thunderstone, we want to have that option to go to Kickstarter without retailers thinking we're just abandoning them. Because we're not. We want them to still be a part of it as much as they can be. And so we're going to continue to find ways that will include them in the upfront process of it and the profiting process of it as much as we can.
Fantastic. 2 last things I wanted to mention. Smash Up.
Yes.
Smash Up is done very, very well for you. I'll be the first to admit, when I first got Smash Up, I thought, oh, the artwork's cool. And I'm thinking, seems kind of odd. We played it.
It is odd.
And everybody's like, they love it.
Yes.
When it came out at Gen Con, it wasn't the talk of Gen Con before it came out. When it was being sold and everybody saw people playing in their hotel lobbies and stuff like that. Then it became the
talk of Gen Con. A little bit of that, now that we're years after the thing, I can admit a little bit of that was a little engineered. We had sent people out with copies to play in hotels and to play at places, but it worked. And it got people playing, and then they began to find they really enjoyed the game and that this is a really good game.
Are you trying to say I was manipulated?
You were marketed to.
I know.
You were aggressively marketed to. But Smash Up has done so well for us, right? It has just become our best-selling game. It is a huge line for us. We just released the 10th set for it, and we're working on the 11th and 12th as we speak.
Very cool.
Cease and Desist just came out, and which just got knocked off the shelf.
Yes.
And it is one of our favorite new sets, which has a lot of really funny art. We're doing a lot of really fun stuff for Smash Up in the retail stores coming in the early part of next year.
It is a very
so yeah, we've got all kinds of neat things in mind for Smash Up.
Final item I wanted to mention it, and it's a bit of a down note. I was sad to see L5R role-playing leave AEG.
Yeah.
So, and no knock against who it went to.
Yeah.
You guys did such a wonderful job with that.
Oh, well, thank you.
And you could really tell that the folks who worked on that really loved that.
Oh, they did love it. They loved it from the inside out, and I really appreciate you saying that too, because that means a lot. But yeah, we had the L5R property for 20 years. We did a lot with it. We did 5 editions of the role-playing game. Right. We did countless re-editions of the card game.
Right.
But it was definitely time. We had changed as a company. We had sort of evolved into the board game market instead, and we were not as much a tournament scene company anymore. So it was the right decision, and we think it's in a good home. We think it's going to be well taken care of.
Like I said, I'm not knocking.
What I thought was really neat was this week, the team who were the writers for it under us put out a 128-page PDF that they did themselves as a wrap-up of the plot that we had been doing for 20 years, with making sure that all the final tournament results were worked into the story before it was over. It was really just it was a great story, and in reading it, even though I know because the IP now belongs to somebody else, it's not canon and what they wrote. It's basically a really awesome.
Since it belongs to somebody else, we don't need to talk much more about it now.
But no, what I'm saying is, it still felt like the right wrap-up of the closing of the book. So
cool,
it was really good of them to do that.
The reality is they didn't have to do that.
They didn't have to do it, and I thought it was awesome that they did, and the fans really appreciated it too.
Todd, any final thoughts? Any games that we haven't talked about you want to give a little love to?
We went through just about everything. We do have the new Archer love letter that's just come out. Not necessarily one for Mama and the kids, but it's definitely a fun one.
Phrasing.
We've got, a lot of phrasing actually, even in some of the abilities. And then Seiji has another game we just released called 8 Epics, which is a cooperative micro dice game. You all play as different heroes trying to save the world from different cataclysms by rolling the proper combinations of dice and things like that. It's really interesting.
Cool. Well, Todd, thank you so much. It's so good to actually see you.
It is good to see you too,
chat.
Jeff. I have missed you. So.
Well,
I have. I've been so busy, and I like seeing my friends at every show.
Right, and that's the whole thing. Everybody's so busy. That's what the reality is when you don't catch up during a convention.
Exactly.
It's just everybody's crazy nuts busy.
I know. I don't know how many times I've apologized for people saying, "I'm sorry, I'm in 3 conversations right now."
Yes.
Can I please?
In fact, you just said that before
I got on
interview,
this.
Right.
I know.
All right.
Anyway,
Thank you,
it
Todd.
was great
Have a
talking to you,
show.
Jeff. Thank you. You too.